my darlings, how's it going? My name is Craig, and welcome to an updated Fluffal deck profile. It's been a while since I've done one of these, but I'm finally able to get around to doing one. I've just been a little bit busy lately, my apologies for that. I'm also gonna say this right now. This is the definitive Fluffal deck profile until we get Patchwork. But until then, this is, in my opinion, gonna be the definitive Fluffal deck profile on YouTube. I've been playing this deck ever since it first came out in the OCG, and in one way or another, I've played it essentially almost every single day, whether it be testing hands a lot, whether it be playing it on Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro or dueling against actual people. I've played this deck extensively, probably more than any other deck. And lately, I've just seen a lot of not very good deck profiles that don't play to the strengths of the deck, in my opinion, from both YouTubers big and small. I've also seen, oh good god, I think it was YCS Atlanta where I saw on one of the featured matches a guy playing Invoked Fluffals, which just does not work on so many levels, and some of the card choices were horrendous, but I'm not going to get into that right now. I'm just going to stop ranting on that for 5 million fucking hours if I do. But all of that combined has really pushed me to want to do an update on this deck and show you guys what, in my opinion, is the definitive deck profile for this until we get Patchwork. So without further ado, let's get started. So for the monsters, of course, we're running 3 Fluffal Dog, 2 Penguin, 2 Bear, 2 Owl, 2 Sheep, 2 Cat, and for the last 2 Fluffal monsters, 2 Fluffal Wings. Moving on to Edge Imps, 3 Edge Imp Chain, and 2 Edge Imp Sabers. And for the last 2 monsters of the deck, 2 King of the Swamps. Moving on to the spells. Of course, we have 3 Toy Vendor, 3 Poly, 3 Fusion Recovery, 2 Frightfur Fusion, 1 Frightfur Factory, 1 Instant Fusion, 3 Twin Twisters, and the last 2 spells, 2 Foolish Burial Goods. And of course, we don't play any trap cards in the deck. For the extra deck, of course, we have 3 Frightfur Sabertooth, 2 Kraken, 2 Tiger, 2 Sheep, and the final Frightfur Fusion in the extra deck is Frightfur Wolf. The rest of the extra deck is comprised of Xyz monsters. We have 1 Sky Cavalry, 1 Photon Strike Bouncer, and then 3 rank A options in the form of Lancelot, Felgrand, and Titanic Galaxy. That's it for the extra deck. Let's move on to the explanation segment. Okay, so I'm going to quickly cover the newer cards that we didn't have before in the deck. Let's start with Penguin, of course. So Penguin is a really decent card. So once per turn, during your main phase, you can special summon another Fluffal monster from your hand. So that's pretty good. That sometimes comes into play, not very often. Most of the time when that comes into play, you'll actually have this in hand. You won't have a dog or owl yet, but you'll draw a Fluffal off of your Toy Vendor effect when you go for a Wings play or something, and you won't have a dog or owl. So specialing this guy out basically lets you keep him on field so that once you do your Wings play, if you draw a dog from your Wings play, for example, and then when Toy Vendor goes to grave after resolving that Wings play, you can actually use that Toy Vendor to search the other dog or owl, so you can use him to special one of those and then normal the other one, so you can get dog and owl in both turns. So he's kind of a placeholder, if you will. I think that's the best way to explain that. That effect basically makes him a placeholder so that you can actually special him off of Toy Vendor if you don't have your dog or owl yet to get both in a turn. But the second effect is what we actually really want from this guy, which is if he's used for the fusion summon of a Frightfur Fusion monster, if he's used as fusion material, you can activate the effect in grave to draw 2 cards and then send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard. So that's really good. That lets you extend your plays and try and draw into stuff that you don't have yet. And you can also pitch stuff like Toy Vendor, Edge Imp Sabers, or Chain, or something like that from your hand to get their effects engraved. So Penguin is really good in the deck. Another card that we didn't quite have before, which came out in Raging Tempest, is Foolish Burial Goods. A really simple spell card. It lets you send a spell/trap card from your deck to the graveyard. You can only activate that effect once per turn. That's a hard once per turn, so you can only use 1 of these per turn. Now, as you've probably guessed it, that lets us send Toy Vendor from deck to grave, and then we can get Toy Vendor's effect to search for a Fluffal monster or Edge Imp Sabers. So this card actually works really well with the deck. Now, actually, on the topic of Foolish Burial Goods, I only run the 2 Bear and the 2 Wings now, because the third bear and third wings were replaced with the 2 foolish burial goods. Now, my reasoning behind that is that, for example, if this was still the third bear, this would be 2 bears in my hand, but because that third bear is now replaced with the foolish burial goods, we can use it to send Toy Vendor from deck to grave, and then Toy Vendor's effect can activate for the wings, completing our combo for the play. So, same goes with the wings. Having the third wings there would mean that this would be 2 wings, but now we can send the Toy Vendor with this to search the bear and, again, have the wings play set up. Now, what's really cool is that if we actually have both of these already, and the foolish burial goods, once we've done our wings play and set ourselves up and established our finalized hand, we can then use this to send Toy Vendor to trigger it to search for whatever we need at that point. So if we need to extend our fusion plays, we can search for Cat to recycle our Poly, or if we have something in hand we want to pitch, like another Toy Vendor, we can actually search something like Penguin to fuse with it and then draw 2 and then pitch our Toy Vendor for searching, and then we can get our Cat. And as you can see, foolish burial goods is just, it really does help the deck. But yeah, that's why I run the 2 bear and 2 wings now instead of 3/3, because these 2 just replace the third one of these each, and it works so well with the deck. The only other thing I think I can address with the main deck is the 2 Edge Imp Sabers. I actually see a lot of people running 1 because it is very searchable, but at the same time, I do want to naturally draw it or open with it sometimes, because if I am going to have a search that turn, I prefer to use it for something like Cat or Penguin to extend my plays, or even completing my wings play by getting my missing combo piece of wings or bear. So for me, naturally starting with this or drawing into it is a little bit better than having to search it. I prefer to extend my plays with my search than have to search to make plays, if that makes sense. Running 2 of these just lets me naturally get it, so I can extend my plays with my search instead of having to search this to make plays. I hope that kind of makes sense. But yeah, that's my reasoning behind the 2 Sabers. I think it's better to naturally draw into it a little bit more often than it is to have to search it because you don't have enough to draw into it often enough. So in terms of the extra deck, I don't think there's a whole lot to explain. I will actually go over the new edition of Frightfur Kraken real quick. So Kraken is actually really good in the deck. Now, the 2 attacks is nice, but the effect that we want the most is target 1 monster your opponent controls, send it to the graveyard. That's a soft once per turn. So what we can actually do is use that effect, send one of our opponent's monsters, and then we can fuse Kraken into Sabertooth, bring back Kraken with Sabertooth, and use the effect again. And we can do that multiple times with however many Sabertooth we can bring out. So we can continue to do that up to 4 times in a turn, because we get the initial send and then 3 additional ones if we need them. Making 3 Sabertooth in a turn is incredibly easy and isn't actually very difficult to do in the deck. It actually happens quite consistently. So Kraken is just so good at clearing boards without destroying. It also is a level 8, so it enables your rank 8 even more so, which is amazing. And another really good piece of synergy with the Sabertooth is that, let's say for example, we've made the Kraken to bait out a Crystal Wing, it gets negated for example. We can then perhaps instant fusion into Sheep, and then we can use that to make Sabertooth. And what's really cool is that you don't need to bring back the fusion that you use for Sabertooth with his effect. So we can actually bring back the Kraken later in the turn and then use it to send any other problem monsters. So if we baited a Crystal Wing with this, that goes to say that our opponent still has it. So then we can send it, and then we can continue to make additional Sabertooths to send the rest of our opponent's monsters. So Kraken has so much synergy with the deck and Sabertooth, it's absolutely ridiculous. And honestly, that's just about everything I think I can cover that I haven't covered before with this deck profile. So, hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile. Let me know how it works for you. Try it out on Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro or whatever. In my opinion, like I said, this is essentially the definitive Fluffal deck profile. I'm very confident in saying that. I think this particular profile really does play to the strengths of the deck. Give it a shot, try it out, and see what you think. But thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And as always, take care and duel on.